One thing I have to do, and I have to say it, and I think it will be tremendous for our country, is we have to renegotiate our trade agreements. Our trade agreements are disastrous, and we didn't use our best and our finest. We didn't use the people that are on your show. We use people that are political hacks to make deals with China, to make deals with Japan, to make deals with Mexico, to make deals with these massive countries that, where frankly, when you discuss business transactions, they're very small by comparison to what you're talking about with trade agreements. And we don't use our finest. We don't use our brightest business people to help us make these deals. And I want to renegotiate trade agreements, and I think the trade agreements are a disaster for this country.
You mentioned you'd immediately roll back some of the executive orders on immigration. What other executive orders would you roll back? There's been some with the NLRB, the EPA, take your pick.
One of the things we want to do, Joe, is get rid of regulations. And we have regulations that are, and it's interesting, more and more I hear it when I'm out making speeches and I have these massive crowds, as you probably noticed, 25,000 people, and sometimes at the end I'll be signing autographs and meeting so many people, thousands and thousands of people. And the business people that are even inclined toward business, they talk about regulation more than they talk about taxes. Now, one of the things we're going to be doing is lowering taxes very substantially. We're lowering the business tax. We're lowering the tax on individuals. We're the highest tax nation in the world, and we're going to be lowering taxes. But, Joe, more than even taxes, they talk about regulations. And it's terrible. I know from my business it's terrible, but these people are affected even more than I am. And it's incredible when I listen to the stories where people can't even open up small businesses. They have to go through all sorts of rules, regulations, 90% of which have no bearing on what they do. So I think from the standpoint of your show and the people that watch your show, we're lowering taxes very substantially, and we're going to be getting rid of a tremendous amount of regulations. And also having to do with energy, it's so difficult for our country. It's so difficult. I believe in solar, and I believe in all of the new forms that we're coming up with. I use solar, but it's about a 30-year payback, Joe. That's not exactly something that people are going to be rushing out to buy, and they don't have it perfected, and the strength isn't there yet. But we're going to be opening up energy. We're going to get the miners back to work. We're going to be doing a lot of things, Joe, to spur the economy.
Bob Dahl has a question for you, Mr.
Hi,
Trump.
Bob.
Hi, Mr. Trump. Allowing you to put an exclamation point on all of that, seems to me that part of our problem is we're just not growing fast enough, and we would solve a lot of problems if we could grow faster. Jobs, income inequality, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think regulatory reform can give us kind of a half a point of growth and maybe some smart tax reform, another half, and we'd find ourselves growing 2.5 to 3 instead of 1.5 to 2?
Well, I do, and we basically GDP was essentially zero, okay, and it's been that way. It's been very, very low for years now, and if China ever had that, they'd go into a massive depression. All right, China, where they go down to 7%, and I watch your show all the time, and I'm seeing 7%, and it's like everyone is going crazy. How could this be possible? And other countries the same thing, and here we have almost zero, slightly more than zero, but basically, I'm sure it could even be less, because how are they coming up with these numbers, these massive numbers? How are they doing it? So we have no growth. I think absolutely Dodd-Frank has to be either eliminated or changed greatly. I will tell you, I have so many friends who are very good business people, and it's impossible for them to do business with the banks. The regulators are running the banks, and you'll have bankers that get big salaries and that are very capable and all of that, but they're not running the banks. The regulators are running the banks. You know that, Bob, and it's very, very tough for people to borrow money. And, they're petrified of making a loan to a really good business person who's going to pay it back, but, there's that chance that maybe the loan won't be good someday, and therefore they don't get the money. And I have so many people calling me, can I help them with a bank? The banks are... and I'm not even blaming the bankers. I'm blaming the fact that the regulations and the regulatory climate is so bad that, the banks just aren't loaning to businesses. And that's one of the reasons you have GDP there. It's one of the reasons we have no growth.
Right. Mr. Trump, on the tax front, given that you've championed the middle class in so many of your speeches. Of course, one of the critiques of the tax plan is that 40% or about 40% of the tax cuts end up going to the top 1% under the current plan, at least as I understand it. How do you square that circle?
I will say this, and I'm not necessarily a huge fan of that. I'm so much more into the middle class, who have just been absolutely forgotten in our country.
Hey CNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Here you're going to find videos packed with all of the information that you need to be smarter about your finances. You can subscribe by clicking right here and click on all the videos around me or the I right here to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.